Kathleen McCartney. I'm a developmental psychologist as well as the president of Smith College. And I'm here to say mental health matters.
Mental illness is one of those things that's easier ignored.
People is perhaps afraid or embarrassed to be ill, mentally ill.
It's wacky that we don't accept the fact that some people, it's not, their brains don't work the same way that some other person's brain works.
I think also, I mean, a lot of the main exposure we have to mental illness in this area is homelessness.
Everybody has some kind of mental illness. You know, everybody really does.
There are a range of conditions from a mild stomach ache to a cold to the flu to more serious heart disease and chronic illnesses. Psychiatric or mental illnesses really fall along the same kind of continuum, but we tend not to think about people who have mild to moderate anxiety or moderate depression. Sometimes those problems go away themselves, sometimes they are very responsive to treatment. Even many of the serious conditions are manageable and treatable. But because we tend to focus on the most obvious and severe and persistent and chronic conditions, we have a kind of ominous and negative sense of what it is to have a psychiatric or mental illness. And I think that's probably the primary issue that feeds the sense of these being terrible and frightening and thus stigmatized conditions.
You know, and having grown up in a family where there's a lot of mental health issues in my family, from my mom, my uncle, and just a lot of people who, like, you know, mean like a great deal to me. I know that even growing up as a child, it was something that I was taught to hide, like, you know, that how mental health impacted me in terms of my own adolescence and development growing up.
If people aren't getting the help that they need, then we have big ripple effect in the community and the various places that they exist. For example, with a workplace, there may be absenteeism, or they may go out on disability if they have an untreated mental health condition. Maybe at school they don't do as well academically, or they drop a lot of classes and it takes longer for them to complete their schoolwork.
As young people grow up, it's important for them to have a basic understanding and a basic sense of what kinds of problems can occur, what sorts of things people need help for, to know how to help a friend, to know how to get help themselves when they may be having difficulty.
It's very important to normalize issues around mental health in general and mental health difficulties in particular.
It's also just one of those things that none of us learn, like, about growing up as a particular form of identity, and I do really truly look at it as a form of an identity because it's something that you carry with you.
Especially in Egypt, like, nobody talks about mental health, like how happy you are, how sad you are, like anything about that. People like hide you if you're like mental or have problems or like anything in that general vicinity of things. It's just like not talked about in my culture.
I live in China. Like, people tend to be like very conservative and not very open-minded, or maybe they tend to hold back their feelings to themselves instead of, like, you know, express to others what they really feel.
Especially in our culture, I feel like a lot of the time we don't really see it as like a bad thing. We just feel bad for them. Whereas, like, instead of like helping them, we like just feel bad and then we like give them money.
Culture, no question, plays a major part in terms of how we address mental health, how we think about mental health, whether it's like, you know, some cultures, you know, are taught, you know, just not to think about that because for so long, so many of us have had to be survivors. And we've taught that, like, you know, if you, like, you know, say that you're struggling with your mental health, then that, like, actually, like, you know, says that you're not strong or that you're not able to survive.
And certain cultures tend to access the counseling center more readily than other cultures. Northern European and Western European students in addition to Americans. There's a philosophy that it is a sign of health to go to the counseling center. It's a sign of strength to identify that you have a mental health difficulty, like a depression maybe or anxiety, and get help. There are other cultures that may not feel quite as comfortable. Certain types of Asian cultures may avoid the counseling center because it brings shame to the family. There are some cultures that feel particularly uneasy about addressing issues of mental health, that there's a fear that one may be ostracized from the community if you talk about it, and that leads to people not getting the help that they need.
You know, we also have so much stigma because it's a lack of trust in the mental health care system as well, and how it's traditionally treated, like, you know, people of color and communities of color.
We have to think about how acculturated a family is to their host community. So if someone comes from a different country and then comes to, for example, the United States, the more connected they are to that culture, the less difficulty they have in terms of mental health difficulties and getting help for mental health difficulties. However, if they come from a different culture and come to the U.S. and don't acculturate, they stay enculturated, that can cause some difficulties. Also, to make it more complicated, if they come to the U.S. and totally lose their identity in their community and don't connect with their host community, that can be a problem too. They feel alienated in both worlds.
It all has to do with communication and education, that which is helping people be more aware of these things, helping educate young people who, across many cultures, about the fact that it's possible to be culturally sensitive and culturally aware and still manage and provide support and treatment for these problems.
And we need to do more of that work where people are looking at it from the intersections of mental health along with cultural identity. How we fuse those two identities together, those experiences together, is really key, you know, for you to have a practitioner or to be able to have supports in which that are sensitive to all of your needs at once. And I truly think also, as we're not only thinking about serving the individual, how we begin to educate communities, you know, from different cultures, has to be done with a sense of cultural sensitivity. Because I think we didn't have examples of that, didn't have models of that in communities, like, you know, people from African descent, and, like, you know, who were able to talk about it, like, intelligibly.
I mean, I would like to believe that at least everyone has experienced a little bit of depression or something that could be, you know, maybe classified as some kind of mental instability at some point. So if you could just kind of think back to how you felt and maybe like a low time you could relate.
Because it's not only that you are crazy, but also you can be depressed, or you can be just schizophrenic and be very questioned in society. And it is important to get help when you have mental issues.
It is very important, and we should take it just as seriously as cancer or someone breaking their arm, because in the end, a lot of mental illnesses can also lead to death.
Our society often portrays mental illness as something that is incurable, and even worse, something that is universally dangerous. These attitudes about mental illness often create a stigma, which in turn creates a shame-based culture of silence around mental illness. This silence and isolation severely impacts those people experiencing mental illness because it discourages them from seeking help.
A lot more education needs to be done so that we can begin to dismantle some of the stigma and eradicate some of the stigma that young people face, and that, like, you know, all of us face, frankly, when it comes to health, with issues of mental health and mental health awareness. It's like, that's really key. You know, for myself, like, growing up, you know, I never, like, you know, very young, like, through high school, even when I first went to college, never wanted to talk about the fact that, you know, my mom, like, you know, struggled with schizophrenia and the impact it had on me growing up as a young person.
Research has shown that the contact model is a very effective way of decreasing the anxiety people have about going to a mental health provider. The contact model is basically having people who have addressed their mental health issues come and talk to others.
These are common conditions. They are very manageable and treatable conditions in many cases. And as people talk about it, they can more and more recognize that their friends, their families, many people they know may be dealing with these kinds of things, may have found ways to manage them or get help from them.
Another thing is ensuring that leaders talk about the issue actively and address the issue. From the president down to our local politicians.
And I think once people are more comfortable to tell their stories, we start to see that, that more people, from all cultural backgrounds, all walks of life, have, we have this, there's mental health, challenges and issues that exist.
The most clear positive impact we can see is that people feel understood. That if someone talks about some mental health difficulties that they've had, they can identify with that person and realize, I'm not alone and I can get help.
Why it's absolutely vital that we speak out about mental illness. The sooner we do, the sooner we can encourage our friends and loved ones to seek the help that they need to get better, rather than letting them suffer in silence and isolation. So be the change you wish to see in the world. If you think that someone is in need, ask them if they need help, and if they do, refer them to adequate resources. If you think you might be experiencing mental illness, don't hesitate. Reach out.